The year is 2025. Humanity exists in a fragile state of peace, overshadowed by a chilling reality. We have created the means of our own destruction. Scattered across the globe are approximately 15,000 nuclear weapons. These instruments of devastation are held by a handful of nations. The United States and Russia possess the largest arsenals. The remaining warheads are distributed amongst other countries. These include France, China, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. These weapons represent a terrifying calculus of destruction. Each warhead is capable of unimaginable devastation. In the hands of these nations lies the power to obliterate entire cities. The thought of these weapons being unleashed haunts our collective consciousness. This is the reality of the world we have created. A world where survival hinges on a delicate balance of power. The consequences of miscalculation or malice are dire, yet we must contemplate them. We must confront the terrifying potential of our own creation. Only then can we hope to avert disaster. Imagine a scenario where these weapons are not just a threat, but a reality. Let's consider the immediate impact of detonating these nuclear warheads over major population centers. With 15,000 nuclear weapons, we could obliterate every city on Earth with a population exceeding 100,000. That's roughly 4,500 cities reduced to radioactive rubble. The human cost is almost incomprehensible. 3 billion souls, half of humanity, extinguished in an inferno of fire and radiation. The immediate aftermath would be a scene of unimaginable devastation. Cities, once vibrant hubs of life and culture, would be transformed into smoldering craters. The air, thick with smoke and ash, would carry the stench of death, but the destruction wouldn't stop there. The shockwaves would level structures for miles around. Survivors would face radiation sickness, a slow, agonizing death that would stalk the land for generations. The detonation of our nuclear arsenal over major cities is a scenario too grim to contemplate for long. Yet it pales in comparison to the potential consequences of detonating all our nuclear weapons in a single location. Imagine, if you will, the lush expanse of the Amazon rainforest. Now picture the entirety of our nuclear arsenal. All 15,000 warheads detonated simultaneously in its heart. The result? A cataclysm of unimaginable proportions. The combined energy released would be equivalent to 300 megatons of TNT. That's 15 times the force of the Krakatoa eruption, one of the deadliest volcanic events in recorded history. A fireball 50 kilometers in diameter would engulf the surrounding rainforest in an instant. Everything within a 3,000 square kilometer radius would be flattened by the ensuing blast wave. The intense heat would ignite wildfires that would rage across the continent, consuming everything in their path. The immediate devastation would be horrific, but the long-term consequences would be even more dire. Section 4. A planet engulfed. The detonation of our nuclear arsenal in the Amazon would have global ramifications. The massive amount of soot and debris ejected into the atmosphere would block out the sun, plunging the planet into a state of perpetual twilight. Global temperatures would plummet, ushering in a nuclear winter. This wouldn't be a mere cold snap, this would be a climatic shift that could last for years. Crops would fail, leading to widespread famine. The delicate balance of ecosystems would be thrown into disarray, resulting in mass extinctions. And then there's the radiation. The invisible killer, silent and insidious, would spread across the globe, poisoning the air, water and soil. Cancer rates would skyrocket, birth defects would become commonplace. The very fabric of life itself would be under attack. But what if we took this thought experiment a step further? What if instead of detonating our existing arsenal, we gathered all the uranium on Earth, a staggering 35 million tons, and fashioned it into a single, monstrous weapon? Section 5. The long shadow of extinction. Detonating a bomb of this magnitude would be akin to unleashing the destructive power of the Chicxulub impactor, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. The explosion would carve a crater 100 kilometers across into the Earth's crust, vaporizing bedrock and ejecting trillions of tons of molten rock and debris into the atmosphere. The immediate aftermath would be a scene of unimaginable violence. Global firestorms would engulf the planet. Earthquakes of unprecedented magnitude would ripple through the crust, reshaping continents. The very air would become superheated, scorching the lungs of any living creature unfortunate enough to be caught in the open. The long-term consequences would be even more severe. The massive amount of debris ejected into space would, upon returning to Earth, heat the atmosphere to thousands of degrees, effectively sterilizing the planet. Those fortunate enough to survive the initial blast and the subsequent firestorms would succumb to radiation poisoning, starvation, or the suffocating effects of a global dust cloud. Humanity, along with countless other species, would be extinguished. Life on Earth as we know it would cease to exist. The planet would be reduced to a barren, irradiated wasteland, a testament to the folly of our species. Section 6. A silent testimony. In the aftermath of such a cataclysmic event, the Earth would be a very different place. The few surviving astronauts aboard the International Space Station would bear witness to the planet's demise. Their home transformed into a desolate, lifeless orb. Deep beneath the surface, in hardened bunkers and submarines, a handful of humans might cling to life for a time. But their existence would be a precarious one, their supplies dwindling, their hope fading with each passing day. Over time, the radiation levels would slowly recede. The dust would settle and the planet would begin its long, slow process of recovery. But the scars of our actions would remain, etched into the very geology of the Earth. Section 7. Life finds a way. Millions of years hence, should life re-emerge from the ashes of this self-inflicted apocalypse, it would find a world vastly different from our own. The fossil record would bear silent testimony to the destructive power of our species, a cautionary tale for any sentient beings that might one day evolve on this planet. The question of whether life could truly recover after such a devastating event remains open. Life, as we know, is tenacious. It has a remarkable ability to adapt and thrive in even the harshest of environments. Perhaps in the distant future, new forms of life would emerge, evolving to cope with the high levels of radiation and the altered environment. Perhaps they would stumble upon the remnants of our civilization, the ruined cities, the silent factories, the forgotten weapons, and ponder the fate of the species that brought about its own destruction. Let us hope that if such beings ever exist, they learn from our mistakes. Let us hope that they choose a different path, one that leads not to self-destruction, but to a future where life, in all its forms, can flourish.